day, everybody. It's Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoy this video, you should subscribe for more RWBY videos. Check out the Patreon if you guys want to get these videos early and help support the channel, and you guys should also check out our Discord server if you guys want to talk with us more about topics like this. So, today we are going to be talking about May, because we got some big May character development last episode, or just characterization in general, and it was great. We want to talk about all of the aspects of it, and so I would like to throw it over to our trans correspondent, Hunter.
I like how it's like a news, or like, thank you, Anderson.
Yes.
Over at that. No, I really I feel like with May, it was remarkably, Rooster Teeth has been very good with their queer characters. I would say outside of Donut from Red vs. Blue, you know, they've done a very good job. And especially with their transgender character, when you think about Val from Genlock and now May with RWBY. She seems to be like a kind of antithesis of a lot of different characterizations of transgender people.
Sure.
Like, I've talked about this in the past, but I feel like there's two ways to do it, like a trans character, or really like any character that's like a minority in any like visible way. You could have this story, their character be that they're trans. Yeah. And that their story be like unavoidably connected to how they are transgender. Kind
of like Love, Simon and stuff like that, like a coming out, like, you know what I mean? Like, the plot is connected directly to them being gay.
If Simon wasn't gay, there would be no plot.
Yeah.
And then there's the kind of what they did with May, where her being trans isn't really necessary for her character. If anything, it just adds flavor to it. Because because May's character would work if she wasn't trans.
Yes.
Whereas, like, Simon wouldn't work if he was straight. It would be a not terribly interesting movie. Yeah. Like, why would you care about people finding out
you're
that
coming
you're straight?
Out as straight? Like,
no son of mine's gonna be a heterosexual.
That's not working.
But like, May's character would still work if she wasn't trans, because she would like just have like seen that her family were a bunch of like privileged assholes that didn't care about the underclass, that corrupted the political system, and she wanted to rebel against that.
Basically, like Weiss's family. We already have a character where this works. It's called Weiss.
I was thinking, basically, May is trans Weiss. Her character would work. It would make sense that she would leave Atlas and join the Happy Huntresses. Her being trans just adds another layer to that. It is not that I'm against like the Love, Simon method of like having the plot be, you know, mostly based around a character's gender identity or sexuality. I just think what they do very interesting, which a lot of shows won't do, is that they kind of find a middle road between having a character that's trans, but it having not affect the plot at all. Yeah. Like, in a lot of ways, like, I like Val. I think they're an interesting character in Genlock, but in a lot of ways, they're just kind of there. They don't really talk about it very much outside of like one or two scenes. Yeah.
And so there needs to be sort of a mixture of both methods to talk about it more openly, but then
most media generally only do the two things. With RWBY, it's kind of in the middle, where May, that her being trans and her family potentially not accepting her as trans, that's kind of up in the air. RWBY's so weird with her all. I think honestly the biggest mistake RWBY ever did was making the claim that it was an egalitarian society. Yeah. It's okay, I can talk.
Thank you.
Your mic's still on, Anderson. And because that adds a layer. Okay, that's also why she didn't like it. Maybe she would have been more like Henry, but because she was on the outs, because of potentially both her gender identity and her sexuality, that, you know, her family didn't like her, so she wasn't able to be a part of that upperclassmen, and that's what like tore her away from that. It kind of finds a happy medium, and it makes this really interesting character, and that comes out in like the scene in the last episode, where, and also what I love about that is that a lot of the times, especially in the Love, Simon, it's a lot of agonizing over being gay or being trans. And in the kind of Genlock, although Genlock isn't this bad about it, it's like they reference it once or twice and never again. Yeah. Be like, oh.
And then there's also like other shows to get the point across. They'll dead name or just do something. Suffer it, right?
Yes,
like they'll do something. Like a lot of people were like, oh, Henry can dead name May. That's how we'll know. And I'm like, no.
But I also feel like there are characters like Riverdale
Sure.
Like Moose, or whoever the gay character is in Riverdale.
Yeah, that's Moose, I think.
Okay, and what I love about that character is that I don't like the show, nor do I like the character. I think we watched the first season together when it came out a long time ago. But the character walk in, he's like, "Hello, girls!" And then one of the characters is like, "You're gay," and they move on, and that's his character. Like, his character is only that he's gay.
Yeah.
And he agonizes about it. May's really not like that. She's kind of subtle. It makes sense that she would talk about why she hates her family, because it's kind of incorporated with the broader plot of Atlas versus Mantle. It's just I don't know if I know a lot of trans characters that have kind of been so well just mixed in with the plot of the show. And I think Rooster Teeth and like RWBY need to sort of I don't know. That's good. That's a good thing. It was really impressive. I was really impressed with it.
And I think, like, RWBY just lends itself to that, right? Because even though I do agree with you that RWBY probably shouldn't have said, like, the no sexism thing, because yet there is, like,
it just doesn't make sense.
Some, like Jean being like, who said, like, I'm not above hitting a girl? I think that was Sun, and then Jean said that damsel in distress thing. Like, technically,
or, like, it's an egalitarian society,
right?
but there was no head mistress?
No female headmasters until Glinda, but she's like a replacement.
Only after
right?
Ozpin got murdered.
There's a little with that, but at the same time, because there is no like transphobia or no homophobia, we don't need to see the characters suffer. You know what I mean? There's already enough media where a gay character or a trans character will agonize over their identity, and I still think that there's a purpose to those stories, right? They encourage other people to come out, but I don't know about you, but for like a bisexual character, I would feel it would be nice if they could just exist. And I actually read a book, and it was They Both Die at the end, and, like, the character is bi, and they're filling out their, like, you would have to understand the book, they're filling out their profile for, like, to find another friend who is also dying, like, that's the whole thing of the book, is they're both dying that day, and, like, he just puts bisexual in his sexuality, and they get together at the end, but it's not, he doesn't feel any shame about being bisexual, he just is bisexual, right? And so I really, like, I just want, like, stuff like that.
A show I feel like does that very well is She-Ra.
Yeah.
Almost, like, She-Ra, I don't think anyone ever said, actually, Noelle Stevenson, the creator of it, did say in an interview once that it makes sense that in this world there wouldn't be sexism, there wouldn't be homophobia, there wouldn't be transphobia. And there is, and we see, like, all of, like, the rulers of the land are ostensibly almost all women.
Yeah.
Like, characters are gay or bisexual or transgender or genderqueer or non-binary,
and no one really says anything.
It's never really remarked
right?
upon, because in this world it is totally normalized. I do think that She-Ra does a better job of it than RWBY, although just because, like, even in the May scene, the way she talks about, like, they lost their son and I made sure everyone knew I wasn't their daughter, implies that there was kind of a difference of opinion of May's gender, of May seeing herself as a woman and her family seeing herself as a man. And in a lot of ways, I think that I'm not against the existence of transphobia in RWBY. I think it works better. Inevitably, for it to work, so you can have a show where none of that exists, but inevitably it's going to be viewed by people interpreted. Now it's my turn. Interpolated. There we go.
Interpreted.
Or interpolated.
That's interpreted.
Interpreted. There we go. Thank you. Interpreted by people in the real world where those things exist.
Yeah.
So even if it's not happening or there's excuses for it in the show, inevitably we're gonna feel like it still exists. Like, I still feel that May's family was transphobic.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they said that in the stream, or we were sort of talking about it, and I was thinking, I don't think that was why. I think why was just because May supported Mantle and, like, the lower class, and that was the friction within the family, similar to how Weiss wanted to solidify the family legacy in a different way than her father. But a lot of people are going to see that because that is the experience of the real world as well. I don't know. I think it's
also in the writing a little bit too.
Yeah.
I guess it's up to interpretation.
Yeah.
And I like that. What I really loved about it is that, well, one thing that immediately I thought that Rooster Teeth has done very well is that they got, because with Val, they're played by an actor named Asia Kate Dillon, and they're non-binary. And with May, they're performed by, their VA is Kaden Jensen, who used to be on Achievement Hunters, now in Inside Gaming, works for Rooster Teeth, and is a transgender woman, and also a voice actor. And I really like that, because it's so very, because like transgender characters are rare enough already, but transgender characters played by transgender performers are even more rare.
And I feel like that's where they really did.
Yeah, they did a good job. And I also think that what made it especially good is that I think Kaden Jensen brought something of her own into it, because if you're familiar with her Tumblr account, which is weird that I think she's most present on Tumblr, that's not a common thing anymore. This isn't 2012. But I'm glad for it. And she has this big thing about, I mean, it's Christmas or Thanksgiving recently in America. We're Canadians.
Yeah.
And they talked a lot about how, you know, a found family and how she doesn't talk to her sort of blood relatives anymore.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of that in May Marigold's character, that kind of cutting loose of people, of finding your own family, of you're not, like, there's no necessity to go back to your kind of biological family. And I wonder if that'll kind of inform May's character, because I think that Weiss is going to not... I mean, I don't think RWBY would ever redeem Jacques. I think it will redeem... I mean, we're in the process of redeeming Whitley.
Yeah.
I think Willow will get redeemed.
The interesting thing about Whitley is, like, Whitley wasn't that bad to start. You know what I mean? Like, he was just a kid
early on,
brainwashed by his dad, and now that he's broken free of the brainwashing, his true personality can come forward, and I think that Whitley
he just wants to help people.
You know what? Like, I feel like Whitley is good, and I've sort of, like, you know, Volume 4, it's like, shitly, like, haha, right? But, like, now, I think that it's a bit, like, more nuanced than that, right?
I think it would be weird knowing how they feel about it, to have May sort of like be soft or reconcile with Henry. I think that personally what might be a little better, and we did talk about this, is that what if, like, with May realizing now what she realizes, maybe sees Willow and Whitley help save the day, maybe see Winter and Marrow, like, you know, reject Ironwood and try to save the day. Maybe she will then realize, like, okay, maybe the Marigolds are a poisoned well, but Atlas itself is still redomable. Yeah. And maybe then she will try to help it.
And I think that is better, right? Because it's less of, I think that would be better, especially just because it's like Atlas itself is not the worst people in Atlas, like Jacques and like the Marigolds, and I think that would be something interesting for her to explore, and I feel like it's gonna be a very, like, tsundere, like, I'm going back to Mantle, but maybe you were white, like, maybe you
you're
were
not
white,
all
Weiss.
assholes.
Yeah, and then, like, she leaves, but then Weiss, RWBY, and Blake stay and defend Atlas, because we do have to talk about this in a separate video, but considering Penny is here and both the Hound and Cinder are after Penny, I think it's safe to say that Team RWBY is not going back down to Mantle, but I feel like May will just be like, peace. You know that peace disappearing meme? That will literally be May, and she will disappear, and she'll just be like, I don't think this is for me. You know?
I think
the
that
big, scary, grim arm lady, I don't think that's any of my business. And then she just I'm talking about Cinder, obviously.
I also think that I would like the idea if, like a lot of, like, different Atlas characters gain the respect of May. Yeah. I think that would be interesting. I don't want her to be touchy-feely, because I don't feel like her character is touchy-feely. I think she's very sort of sarcastic. Yeah. And, like, slightly, not snide, but I guess sarcastic and tsundere and, like, tough love. Not very touchy-feely, and I like that about her.
Because she was even like, Joanna hasn't heard from your friends for a little while. They don't really have time to babysit some stupid kids. Right, or whatever she said, and I was just like, oh. But that's just her way of speaking, right? Like, I'm sure she is concerned about Yang, and but there are, you know, the apocalypse is happening. What can you do, right?
I really like it. I think that she's a really good character. I like what they're going. I kind of find it really hilarious that they made the transgender woman's semblance turning invisible.
I feel like that there's a thing about that.
I think that's a subtle commentary.
I think there's that, and then there's also, you sort of imagine that semblances come when we need them most, right? And like Ren's semblance came because he needed it, right? He needed to hide from the Grimm, so his body sort of gave him a semblance to do so. And so I can only imagine that, like, you know, May's trying to sneak out of the house or something, and she's just like, damn, you know what would be great right now? A semblance to help me sneak out of the house.
Or she's wearing makeup and heels, and the dad walks in, and she turns invisible, surprisingly. That's why, these are my two things I desperately want from May. One, I want someone to make, like, an E.C. Myers style, a kind of prologue.
Happy Huntress.
Happy Huntress origin story book. I mean, I think they could do a trilogy of them. I think that there's a lot of like interesting things to make about those characters. I would love it.
Yeah.
I would definitely read it. And one is, okay, so apparently Kaden Jensen is responding to stuff a week after the original release of the video. So that would be the first RWBY.
Right.
Just releasing comments. I want you to send this video to her because I have a headcanon.
Oh God, not again!
That May's full name is Mayonnaise. It works because it's a color, and she puts in her official name in all legal documents is Mayonnaise Marigold, just to fuck with people.
Just to fuck with the marigolds,
and
right?
the long history of transgender shit posters, and everyone would go by May, and May isn't short for anything, so they wouldn't assume it was, but it was. It's Mayonnaise. My name's Mayonnaise.
Oh boy.
Just to flex on my parents, who I hate. I love that.
Do we have anything else to talk
No, that's
about?
my one last thing. I love the character. I think Rooster Teeth did an amazing job. I think Kaden Jensen did an amazing job. I really hope they do more voice actors, like voice performer stuff outside of Rooster Teeth.
I do want to say too, like, I think that consultation thing we talked about earlier is so important, right? Because, you know, we've talked about this with, like, the fondest issues in the show. Like, Miles and Carrie have said, like, jokingly, like, oh yeah, we're two white guys trying to write the racism plot, you know? Like, how is that gonna go well? Like, sort of thing. Like, jokingly, but it is helpful to have people that have lived that experience give their input. Like, in the literary world, you have, like, sensitivity readers, right? You have people that, if you're writing about a certain demographic, I guess, or a certain minority group, you hire someone, and they read it, and they tell you, like, what you need to fix, what you should keep, all that stuff. And so I feel like that we need to normalize that a bit more, because expecting a writer to know everything, right? Like, that's just not real life, you know? And so to get a genuine, real experience, and also voice acting performance, like, I think that that's just so valuable and so important, especially, like, when you can put, like, not to say that a non-trans voice actress would not be able to carry the role, but there's something more genuine and more special about the fact that Kaden is trans, to me, or at least I think so. I think it puts a realness in there that just cannot be captured no matter how good of an actor you are. I hope that you guys enjoyed our video discussing this, and we will see you guys in the next one. Remember to support videos like this over on Patreon. Join our Discord server if you want to talk with us, and yeah.
And Kaden, please confirm Mayonnaise Marigold for me.
Oh boy, but yeah, we will see you guys in the next one. Bye!